What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Local Sets Report here in St. Louis, Missouri. I am Brad, aka the Mayor of Lorcana and co-host of the Rules of Villainy podcast. Usually we are bringing to you each and every week, or most weeks, because it's been an incredibly busy month for me, bring you the latest and greatest in Disney Lorcana competitive decks from our leagues. We have a plethora of leagues here in the greater St. Louis region, and we are already in set champ season. So now this is the Local Sets Report for the next several weeks leading up till Milwaukee. Then the DLC Milwaukee is just around the corner. It's wild. It's wild that we're already in the Fabled Set Championships as well. We just had 4 of them here in St. Louis this week. I have 4 winning decks for you that I want to share, and we're going to get right into it. All right. Before we get into our first deck, I want to do a quick deck breakdown of the set championship at Impact Gaming Center. Give a huge shout out to them, the players, and everybody in the community who donated prizing to make this event as big as it was. It might be the biggest set championship to date here in St. Louis, and we're looking to just do bigger from here on out. And so proud of this. Thank you to everybody who participated. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you to Impact Gaming Center for donating an enchanted Elsa to first place, as well as an enchanted Along Came Zeus, I think Aiden got for second place, and an enchanted Ursula to Gary, I think was a random raffle. Just overall, the vibes were great. And couldn't be prouder to have been able to host that and send that out to the world and everybody who tuned in. A big thank you to you as well. Looking at the deck breakdown here, we know Blurple has been the big bad of the set. 17 of the 47 players were Blurple, with a turnover rate of 4 of those being half of the top cut, being the biggest Swiss and top cut deck. But Blurple did not get it done, despite what people think about the deck, and it is a very, very powerful and fun deck. It was not Blurple's day, unfortunately, for me as well, who was on it and just shy of making the top cut. But that glory belongs to Tommy on Amber Steel. If congratulations to him. If you are familiar, or if this deck looks familiar to you at all, you've probably seen the last 2 weeks. I think it is card for card Sky's deck from Team Maelstrom, who took down the first CCQ at PPG Denver, as well as the 8K at Glass City Showdown last week, in which I was fortunate enough to be a part of the casting team and seeing it in action. It is absolutely brutal. I was actually just ribbing with Tommy on Discord right before I started recording, talking about I don't like this deck. It is so mean. It is so fast, and it has all the tools to stop you in your tracks and just do what it wants to do. And that's get to 20 very quickly and make it hard for you to stop them. The standard play line is the Aurora or Daisy on 1. If you find the Aurora, you can either play the Mulan on 2 for free with an Aurora quest to filter your hand a little bit more with the draw discard. But what they're really looking for is the Tiana coming out on 2 that enables it terrifies the opponent, because as soon as that Tiana becomes sideways, it is hard to challenge into anything on their board without paying the ink, and you probably don't have such a strong character out there to take care of any of these characters anyway. You might need Challenger or something to get around that. But if it's not Tiana, it's Troubadour. And both of those on 3 can sing in Strength of a Raging Fire, which after dropping a lady and a free character on turn 3, that's 4 damage to anything on your board, the opponent's board, that is probably going to wipe it out. My case, a Genie, an Iago, something that came out and just can't stick around to even try to challenge anything on the board. It's fast, it's mean. We see 3 Fire the Cannons in here as well. And even if they don't find Tiana, they got the good boy. They got Pluto there to protect everything behind it as well, who hits for 5 until he has some damage on him. So if that's not scary enough, we have Penny to give anything on the board resist until the start of their next turn. And it also heals them too. It's just a very, very consistently good deck. I think I can't say it's being slept on. It is getting wins here, just all over the place in big tournaments as well. And you've got to find ways to stop it. And if none of that scares you, of course, the big bad from last set, which we talked about a lot on the podcast, you got the shift line with the Rhino 1/16th Wolf and the Power Hamster, who is just a threatening body on board with resist 2 until it has damage on it, hits for 4, and can shift on 2. It is just absolutely insane. All the tools here to be a very successful deck. And It's scary. It's scary to sit across from. So that's really all I got to say about it. If you're familiar with the game at all, you've seen this deck quite a bit. Tommy piloted it fantastic in a mirror match, which you can watch on our channel. I'll link it in the description below, from our live stream against Aiden, who's another great pilot to this deck. The only difference between the two decks are the Sven that you see here in Tommy's deck, I believe, was replaced in Aiden's deck with a Lilo, World's Greatest Explorer, or some. I think that's the right subtitle, where it gives everybody else some challenger and helps out when needed. But yeah, congratulations to Tommy. Let's move on to the next one. All right, moving on all the way out to Troy, Missouri at Gambrill Gaming. We have Kevin getting the job done with Amber Emerald Sea Dogs, Chroma Dogs, a whole lot of ladies is what he called it, because at the start of the day, he decided to take out 3 of his 2 cost uninkable bonsais. It was a 3-2 quest for 2, and put in these 3 1 cost uninkable ladies, for a little bit more synergy, maybe with the tramp questing on 2, and he did say later on he would like to put the bonsais back in just for the synergy with Gogo, who he thinks is the most important card in character, I guess, in this deck, with the Chromacon bounce on yourself. The bonsai does hit for 3, so if he can leave 3 damage on somebody on the other side of the board, bouncing your Gogo and having 4 ink will allow you to replay that Gogo, pay the 2 ink, and gain 3 lore that was possibly left over there from the bonsai. So that's one change he made here. He didn't need the bonsai clearly on this day because he got the job done with the 3 ladies. But this is a fascinating deck. This deck has been popping up for a while. He said this is very similar, if not the exact same deck as the one that won Lone Star last weekend in Texas. But yeah, it's a fascinating deck. It's a lot of 1s and 2s. You're trying to get as many characters on the board as possible so you can get that 7 cost tramp out as quickly as possible, and allows you to draw as many cards as you have other characters on board, but you have to discard them as well. So it's a giant filter. But what you're doing with that tramp is you're looking for a Under the Sea to, have the next, if one tramp in one other character allows you to sing Under the Sea on the next turn, and possibly if you're up against Amber or Steel, if they haven't just taken care of everything on your board already, or even Blurple, or most lines, Under the Sea that early would just be heartbreaking for your opponent because of the most characters meeting the 2 strength threshold to ship those cards to the bottom of your deck. So there's a lot of strength manipulation in here as well. The Merryweather, the Tramp, the Improvise that gives you a card draw and +1 strength to a chosen character. It could also work as a counter to illusions. I was playing this just for fun the other night at League Night, in between rounds, and my opponent Nick reminded me. He goes, you can use that Improvise on the Cobra, and I'm like, yeah, got to remember that vanish keyword. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin was doing that a few times in the set championship here on Saturday, because we have so much amethyst steel, as you're about to see here shortly. Spoiler alert, going on around here, and it's filled with illusions, and even Blurple running Iago can be a problem too. So Improvise is a good tool to have in here as well. Ursula to steal songs away from your hand if that comes out. The lady, he's only running 1 of the 3-drop lady, which is surprising given the fact that that card brings out another character for free. So if you're playing her on 3 and getting up to 4 characters, that tramp is essentially going to be free not free, but super cheap on the next turn. Another key thing that I would be remiss in not mentioning is Miss Park Avenue, the Lady Shift, the dual ink Lady Shift, 4/4 quest for 2. Whenever you play that character, you can shift her for 3, and we have again all these ladies on here to shift onto. You can bring character cards back from your discard, up to 2 of them, 2 cost or less. So that is a good hand refresher there as well. Whenever you can get her out, and the other draw package that he has here is 4 Clarabelles. The 3 cost inkable allows you to draw a card if your opponent has more cards than you in their hand, and the Shift Tramp that comes out, and whenever one of your characters is banished while he is on the board, you just get to draw a card on the opponent's turn. So very, very cool. I haven't figured out how to run this deck properly yet, or possibly I'm just running it into bad matchups, but it is a fascinating deck. I'm very happy to see Kevin win it. I don't get to see him often here in the community, but I always see him online. He's a longtime listener and supporter, so can't thank him enough, and can't be happier for you winning this set championship, man. So we'll see you in the next one. All right, moving on to our third deck of the week. We have Tom all the way out at Bandit's Hideout in Freeburg, Illinois. Got the job done with Amethyst Steel, and he did it in a mirror match in the finals with Rules of Villaini's own Villain Andy. And I can only imagine what the board looked like in all three of these games. It is a deck that just swarms you. It comes out, you got these one drops with Happy and Diablo. Diablo gets you a card. Happy has evasive on turn. Captain Hook is Challenger 2, and so he hits for 3. And just he's out there ready to run into anything that you turn sideways. The Calhoun is a common second turn. It's a very consistently, like, it's low to the ground, but it does a lot of work with what it has. We move on. Doc is the draw engine, and they always find their docs. I just told a story on here, or maybe the podcast proper recently, where Andy won the game because against me in a game 3 because he found his doc into a white rose, which surprisingly, going into back to Tom's deck here, he's not running. I've seen most of these Amethyst Steel decks running a white rose 2, 3, maybe even 4 of, because it's instant lore. It comes out pretty cheaply, and you get 1 lore for playing it. It's just important to have that. The other option for instant lore that he has here is the Giant Cobra. It is a 3-cost inkable, former villain of the week, mind you, on the podcast proper, but 4/4. And whenever you play this card, you can discard a card to just gain 2 lore. I've lost in that way as well. It's just, there's nothing you can do to stop it. And then when you're trying to work around their decks, they're just building, or work around their plays. They're just trying to build a board that you and say deal with it. Andy has told me in the past, he's like, Amethyst Steel, I'm just flooding the board and saying do something about it. And that's very much what this does. He does have 4 of Dumbo in here as well, which I think is probably the best deck for Dumbo, when you take in consideration all the evasives on turns. You have the Happies, you have the Smees, you have the Genies. There's a Jafar that you can use as well. And then, of course, he's running Genies and Elsas and just getting maximum value out of that Dumbo. And the Dumbo himself has the same ability that he gives to the other evasive characters. So just a lot to answer. Of course, the Yzma Cunning Chemist, I believe is her name, Conniving Chemist, just another draw package there with the doc and damage moving with Bell. Very, very good. Hypnotic Strength to deal with illusions, which I'm sure he had to do in the matchup with Andy, and Strength of a Raging Fire. When you have so many characters on board, Strength of a Raging Fire just hits for massive amounts of damage. The one card I didn't mention, I saved for last, is Madam Mim, Tiny Adversary, which is getting a lot of traction lately. He's only got a 1 of in here, and that's maybe really all you need. She is a Challenger 0/3 Challenger +1, and gives all your other characters Challenger +1 too. So just a little bit of extra boost to when dealing with the opponent's board. We call her Skater Mim, and she's worth it. She seems like a really, really good card, and finding success in these Amethyst Steel decks. I do have the breakdown of what Tom played into on the day. He was on the play game 1 against Red Green, took that down. On the play 2-0 against Blurple. On the draw, 2-1 against Emerald Sapphire, and then he intentionally drawed into the top cut. Played a rematch of the Emerald Sapphire in the semifinals and then the finals with Andy, because they only cut to top 4, I believe, at this tournament. And then, of course, he played Andy in the finals, got it 2-1. So Andy put up a good fight, couldn't get the job done, but Tom did. I'm so happy for him, because I don't know. He just seemed to be having a bad time yesterday at Impact on Emerald Sapphire himself. So he switched it up, got the job done with Amethyst Steel. Happy for him. Congratulations to you, Tom. I'm sure we'll be running into each other again at one of the other set championships coming up here next weekend. All right, our final deck of the week, coming to you from Realms of Gaming, all the way out in Troy, Illinois. Rules of Villaini's own Brit got it done with Amethyst Steel in a finals with other Rules of Villainy team member Andy on Dogs. So congratulations to both of them getting that far. We're rooting for both of you. Brit got the victory there, and not surprising, because this deck is very, very hard to deal with, especially when you know that the Dogs just don't bring the strength to deal with these characters. I'm sure Andy had Chromacon. We can look into that another time, but it's just, I've seen that matchup, and it is not pretty in a lot of regards. Once the Calhouns come out, once the Amethyst Steel floods the board, there's nothing you can do. The Chromacon can only bounce so much. But we talked about this enough with Tom's deck that there's only a few changes here that I want to touch on. So the Palace Guard on turn 1 is a 1/4. So if you don't hit him with an action, he sticks around for a while unless you want to take a couple turns to challenge into him. I don't know that that is worth it for you. When you see a Calhoun's there as well, waiting to challenge back and get that 2 lore for you, as well as the Captain Hook. The Skater Mim, she has 2 there, a tiny adversary, giving everybody else +1 on their strength. I didn't mention in Tom's deck, who also had the Lilo, best explorer ever, whenever she comes out, and whenever she, I guess whenever she comes out, all your other characters get +2 challenger that turn. Whenever she quests, alien characters get that perk and can challenge ready characters, but there's no aliens in this deck to worry about that. So I think that's a good tech card if you need a little bit of boost in the mid game or late game to take out some challenging things on the other side of the board that aren't evasive. But speaking of evasive, as we touched on in Tom's deck, lots of evasive on turn with the Smee, the Genie, the Genie Dragon is what I should refer to there. We already know the Genie Wish Fulfilled is evasive, but then Dumbo activating those, as well as Elsa to get your draw going, as well as the docks that Amethyst Steel always finds, and the Yzma that can just refill your hand on Exert. That will be target number 1 once that comes out for most people. And the problem, especially in the Blurple matchup, why I think it's such a fair matchup, and what I'm always running into it and most familiar with, is that Blurple's primary this is just a tangent here of me playing Blurple all the time, but Blurple's primary source of removal is inking things with the Into the Unknown and Hades. And the more you give this deck ink, and the more they find their docks, and the more they trigger their Dumbos, they can just play all these low to the ground low cost characters and flood the board even more. So you're actually activating them and doing that. And it's absolutely insane. You have to be very careful not to let it get too out of control, because there are no B preps or anything like that. There is in, I guess, Andy's deck, maybe probably had Under the Sea, and he could try to find a way to get get that going, but I don't have that in Blurple, and no other deck does as well. So it's hard to deal with. The other thing that Tom didn't have that I mentioned briefly over there was the White Rose. I knew Brittany was running that because I played her on Saturday, and it was a problem, as well as the Jafar Aspiring Ruler coming out 3/2 quest for 2 and giving Challenger +2 to a chosen character on that turn as well. So just a lot of just challenger, a lot of strength, a lot of do something about it attitude from this deck, and not a surprise to see 2 of them here this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see more in the future as we continue on this path of the Fabled metagame approaching DLC Milwaukee. In fact, DLC Bologna just finished today, and the finals was Blurple versus this deck, a version of this deck, Amethyst Steel, and it was fascinating to watch. But going off on a tangent here, the only other thing that Tom didn't have that Brittany does is Fire the Cannons, which is just more damage to your opponent's board and a real pain to deal with. If I haven't made it clear, Brittany, your deck is a pain. This is an ongoing thing because the last couple metas, me and Brittany have just been going back and forth, and her Birds deck and now her Amethyst Steel deck. And I'm just going to close this here because congratulations to her. She knows I'm proud of her. And let's move to the outro. Yeah, that's going to do it. I was teetering off the rails there. Apologies to Brit, but shout out to you guys one more time. Tommy, Kevin, Tom, and Brit, congratulations, and thank you for submitting your deck so that I could celebrate your wins here on the channel. It means a lot. We're a community-based podcast here that just wants to give back as much as we possibly can, and this is the least that we could do in celebrating your win. So thank you for that. Thank you to everybody else who tuned in to watch this and continually tunes in to watch our content. We have the podcast proper, of course, Deck Test Tuesdays with Andy and Kirsten on Tuesdays, as you can imagine, and the local meta report or sets report, as we are in the set championship era here in the Fabled meta game. So thank you for tuning in to all of those. If you want to find us on any of the socials, you can find us at Rules of Villainy virtually everywhere. We are now on TikTok. You can go hang out with Vince on there, who I think is trying to upload every day. I don't know that he is, but there's a lot of fun pack openings and such, and some other things planned that we are working on. Me specifically working on something that it's taken a lot of time, and I don't, I'm not going to promise anything, but I really want to get it out there. So hopefully that comes and you see that and you like that as well. And yeah, good luck in your set championships. Good luck in Milwaukee. Good luck in wherever you are playing. And just remember to have fun and happy questing.